welcome back, everybody, to another live hangout here on I'm Not a Coach. I'm your host, Dave Huerta. Thank you so much for joining us, man. How are you doing? Let me know how your week has been. How is your weekend looking up, man? So, yeah. Welcome. Thank you so much. Busy week here for me, man. It's been freaking wild, but it's been fun. A lot of family stuff going on, a lot of good stuff in the family going on. So, that's a good thing. Graduations, the whole nine, birthdays, the whole nine, man. So hopefully your start to the summer or getting close to it is going well for you, man. You and your family, your friends, the whole thing, man. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Let me see here. So we do got a little bit of NFL news. There's not a whole lot. Surprisingly, to be honest with you, after doing a live stream on Wednesday, I was like, man, what are we gonna talk about on Friday? There's not a whole lot to talk about. No, none of the Josh Jacobs stuff has been nothing new has come out since Wednesday. Um, Thankfully, I don't know. I legitimately do not know what to wish for in that case. Like I get literally, I think I said it before. I think the best case scenario is that none of it is true, and eventually in a couple weeks or hopefully in a couple days, actually, everything just goes away. But yeah, that's the best case scenario. But obviously, we'll see how that goes through the next couple weeks and potentially months as that kind of plays out. So, but luckily, yesterday and today, there's been some decent NFL news. Nothing too crazy. Unfortunately, some injuries. One major injury. It looks like it's being reported as of earlier today. We'll get to that. Some coaches, assistant coaches being fired. We'll get to that as well. Some trades and some potential contract extensions being talked about. So yeah. So we'll get to that here in a second. I'm gonna wait just a minute or so for kind of people to get rolling in here. Let me sign into the chat here. So jeez, breaking things over here. Sorry, just organizing me a little bit here, but we should be all set now. Let's go. Perfect. Perfect. All right, let's get the bad news out of the way here. Unfortunately, another major injury has hit um, one of the NFL teams here. This is going to be the Giants. Another injury to what looks like what would have been a key contributor, and that is wide receiver Gunnar Olszewski, sorry. So just a couple of days ago, I think almost a week ago to the day, they ended up losing defensive lineman to a torn Achilles, who would have been one of their top defensive linemen, one of their starters this year, Roberts. They ended up losing him to a torn Achilles, which was pretty bad. Like obviously, you'd never want to lose anybody to basically a season-ending injury during the off season, but it hurts even more because they obviously just recently, a couple weeks ago, traded Dexter Lawrence away, and they were hoping Roberts would be one of the guys that would be able to fill some of those snaps, maybe not all of them, but a good chunk of them. He was in line to be a starter for them. and now basically a week later they lose Gunner here to the same injury, a torn Achilles. So the Giants are getting hit early, and I guarantee you, people are gonna start bringing up that those fields, man. Um, whether it's the stadium itself or the practice field, probably similar type of uh, the same kind of field, same kind of material. And yeah, man, so far, man, two major injuries. You lose two big players to torn Achilles. Not great, man. Osolski, well, let me look at his numbers last year because he was fairly productive last season. Yeah, because he's been with the Giants since 2023. So yeah, last year he played in 9 games. He's only been he's really hasn't caught any passes really up until last season. And in 2025, he played 16 games, started one, caught 10 passes for 145, did catch a touchdown as well. But the biggest hole that he's going to leave is the 79 kick slash punt returns that he was a part of. Head over. Let me see here. Trying to look at the yardage. Had nearly 900 yards on kick returns and had. Oh, actually, those are combined. So my bad. So 50 returns for nearly 900 yards, a long of 29, and a solid average of 18 yards per return. Did lose a fumble, but nothing major. David Stegosaurus is in the chat. Let's go, baby. David, what's going on, brother? How's your week going, my dude? Also, how was that burrito, man? Yeah, you talked about it. You left a man. I was like, oh man, got a burrito. Let's go. Was it steak? Was it chicken? Let me know. But it's good to see you, buddy. But yeah, man. So yeah, the Giants losing another key contributor. This one on special teams, a guy that kind of he started getting into the offense a little bit last year. Caught a touchdown, caught 10 passes, over 140 yards. But yeah, now they're gonna have to replace Gunnar Olszewski there after losing him to a torn Achilles, basically in the same week as losing one of their key defensive linemen to the same injury. So tough, 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 tough. Just got home, I think. There we go. All right, pretty good, pretty good. Hey, you gotta walk the dog. I 100% understand. Got to. But yeah, man, give my best to the pupper and the wife, Lady Stegosaurus. Heck yeah, man. Yeah, dude. I hope your week has been going well, man. Hopefully you're kind of enjoying the end of May here. It's starting to get real warm up here in Wisconsin, man. We've had a couple mid 80s, high 80 days, man. I'm not looking forward to the summer. I am a spring, fall, slightly winter kind of guy. I don't like the heat, to be quite honest with you. Uh, don't get me wrong. If I'm in the shade with a nice little drink, not bad. If I'm by the pool, not bad. But other than that, I need some AC, man. I need AC. Yeah, and then Osolski, man, he's been a fairly productive returner throughout his career. In his second season in the league, that was when he was with New England. He actually led the NFL in punt returns with nearly 350 that year. Did have a touchdown that same year in 2020. Had another solid year in 2021, over 700 yards in total return yardage. Good solid average. I think in 2020, yeah, he averaged a little over 20 yards per return. That one dipped in 2021 to about 16 and a half. Still pretty good though. Had a couple seasons. He bounced around the league with Pittsburgh, then landed with the Giants. Made the way through 2023 after the Pittsburgh Steelers let him go. He's been with the Giants ever since. Did not play in 2024. He was lost to injury. And unfortunately, it looks like 2026 is going to be another year where he is not going to be participating. So, yeah. In 2024, he was out all year, bounced back in 2025 to be fairly productive with the Giants, and now another season lost for Gunner there after the torn Achilles. So it's a tough one, man. He's still only about 29 years old. I don't think he turns 30 until I think towards the end of next year for sure. Let's see here. Actually, no, he turns 30 here in November. I thought it was a little bit later. So yeah, but special teams guys, those guys can bounce back fairly quickly, hopefully. So. All right. So yeah, that was the bad news. That's the worst news that we are probably going to be talking about for the most part. Actually, there's a firing. We'll talk about that one here in a second. But next one to balance it out, we got a trade with the other team that plays in New Jersey, and that is the Jets. They have traded. This happened about 3 days ago, I think. They traded away Irvin Charles to the Seahawks. Irvin Charles is actually mostly a return man, so the Seahawks are trying to bolster that special teams unit just a little bit with the addition of Charles. So Charles, 6'4", 219, so a big freaking receiver, man, just a huge human being. Undrafted back in 2022, has been with the Jets, basically throughout the entirety of his NFL career up until a couple days ago when he was traded away to the Hawks. If you look at his numbers, really hasn't had too much of really anything. 14 career tackles is really all that he has been able to put up for the most part. Like I said, mostly a special teams guy. But to me, his biggest contribution probably to the Seahawks this season is not only going to be maybe being a gunner, but maybe special teams on kickoffs going to be a nice little blocker to kind of open up some running lanes for the returners there. So yeah, dude, big, tall receiver, physical guy. So I think that's if you can fill your special team roster with guys like this who are big, fast, and physical guys, typically you're going to do pretty well. So, is he related to Charles, running back of yesteryear, Jamar Charles? He is not, my man. He is not. Yeah, let me see here. Charles was he went to Penn State, a Nittany Lion. He grew up in Haddonfield, New Jersey. Yeah, man. All right. So yeah, he was playing with the Jets there. He was basically home for quite a bit there. That's pretty cool. Oh, dude, man. Jamal Charles, man, that is a throwback, dude. That dude was an absolute beast in his prime, man. Was it a 5 or 6 touchdown game, man? I think I watched that game. That was a sight to behold. He was dominant, man. Absolute dominant. Yeah, when did Charles retire, man? Charles retired back in 2018. He last played for the Jags. Sorry, ADHD, man. Yeah, as soon as you mentioned Jamal Charles, I was like, I gotta look him up. I gotta remember. Yeah, Jesus, 2012, 1,500 yards. Only 5 touchdowns that year, though. It's a little bit less than I thought. But the next year, nearly 1,300 yards on the ground, 12 touchdowns there on the ground, but 7 receiving. So nearly 20 tutties that year for Jamal Charles in 2013. It's pretty good. But yeah. So nothing too crazy with the trade there, but I feel like the Seahawks, anytime they make a trade, especially during the offseason, it tends to work out probably better than most. So I would not be surprised if Irvin Charles makes a couple impact plays throughout the season with his new team. All right, keeping it moving here. So, a little bit of news on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and no, it does not involve Aaron Rodgers doing ayahuasca, surprisingly. It is actually a assistant coach that has been officially fired by the Steelers for violating a club policy. So yeah, this is a special teams assistant, Darius Swinton II, was fired earlier on Friday for violation of the club policy. They have not. There has been zero news, and the Steelers, as it says right here, declined to provide the exact violation. Swinton was hired as a part of the new coach, Mike McCarthy's staff earlier this year. He was dismissed due to a workplace misconduct, a team source told ESPN. So, nah, not good, man. Not good. You gotta be professional, man. What are you doing? Come on. This ain't freaking TGI Fridays, man. Come on. Get it together. So yeah, not great news. Not great news for the Steelers there. Does not look great, but hopefully they can kind of move on from this pretty quickly. Hopefully it doesn't become like a weird distraction, but I doubt it. I feel like this is gonna be in the news and it's gonna go away, and they'll fill the spot with somebody. So, but yeah, not great news for Darius there. Not great news. Let me see here. I was trying to look up some some history with Darius, but it took me a little bit here. So yeah, Darius, he's been in the league for quite a bit, man. He was a special teams quality coach back in 2009, 2011 with the St. Louis Rams, not the LA Rams, St. Louis Rams. Then he moved on to be basically the same position with the Kansas City Chiefs for 1 year. Bounced around with the Denver Broncos for 2 seasons as an assistant special teams coach, basically the same position he was with the Steelers until he got fired. Um, went with Chicago the next year, and then just kind of bounced around. San Francisco, back to Chicago, Detroit, Arizona. We got promoted in Arizona in 2020. Went to the Chargers in 2021. Stayed with the Raiders for 3 seasons. Became their interim special teams coordinator in 2025 after a bunch of Raider coaches got fired in 2025, and then was just recently hired as a senior assistant special teams coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but obviously no longer the case. My guess is using inappropriate slurs, but I have zero evidence of the claim. Could be maybe like a little bit of yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. It seems like it would be more of like yeah, because otherwise I feel like if it was anything like um, inappropriate, you know, stuff like that, similar to kind of like what was going on in Michigan, I feel like that would have been a bigger story than just kind of like, oh, he got fired. So I think you might be right. I think it's definitely some type of inappropriate language, and then probably maybe some aggressive coaching. Let's just say that probably we've seen that happen before. So yeah, but yeah, but Darius has been around the league for a while. Yeah, he's been basically in the NFL since 2009. He started out his coaching career in Tennessee in '07 as a defensive graduate assistant, and he went to the College of Hampton. So back in the early 2000s, early and mid 2000s. Dog walking time. Be back later. Right on, my man. Enjoy the walk, dude. me see here. Jesus, sorry. I went to Reddit to see if there was any kind of news, and the first comment was the violation of Pittsburgh policy was actually ordering a salad or a sandwich without French fries. That's hilarious. How dare he? Despicable. Despicable. But yeah, so already coaches being fired, man. All right, we're not even a month and a half into the new season, and guys are already just being chucked out the door. Unbelievable. Yo, loco, yo, what's going on, my dude? How you doing? How you doing? Your loco, how's your weekend looking, man? Is there anything good? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know if you have plans. Dude, I gotta get some caffeine, man. I did drink some earlier today, but whew. Been decently well. Been catching up with NASCAR and the NBA. Wemby is insanely good. Yes, he is, dude. Yes, he is. What's the series at right now? It's what is it? 3-2. Spurs are down, or are they up? Let me know. Actually, I'll turn. See if there's a. Yeah, dude. Wemby is. I mean, the fact that the dude is like barely starting out his career, man, and he's already this dominant shows a lot, man. It shows a lot. Yeah, and I think I said this like a couple weeks ago. Like, it seems like the NBA is in a little bit of a transition. It seems like a lot of the old heads, and I mean that respectfully, but a lot of the guys that have been kind of in the limelight, and that have been dominating for anywhere between 10 to 15 plus years are kind of they're kind of moving out the door. The Giannis is the Chris Paul's obviously retired. LeBron, those guys, KD, um, Kawhi. They're still there. They're still lingering, but it seems like the last 2 seasons it's been definitely more of the up and coming teams. The up and coming players are seeming to really. There seems like they're really snatching the wins, the limelight, and the titles, man, and the awards too. So Game 7 is upon us. Woo! Is it tied up now? Holy cow! Let's check it out. Sorry, I've it's been a busy week, so I haven't watched any of the games since I think the last time we watched them kind of together there for a bit. Oh yeah, Spurs came back yesterday. They dominated OKC, man. 118 to 191. Sorry, 191. 91 to 118. So yeah, game 7 series is tied up. Dude, the wow. Wow, 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 wow. So game 7 is tomorrow at 7 p.m. I will not get a chance to watch that game, unfortunately, but yeah, your local man. Enjoy that game, dude. That's gonna be a freaking great game, dude. Game sevens are always just so much. There's so much emotion, man. So much on the line. Like it's everything. There's no next game. Either you win and you move on, or you go home. Simple as that. Yeah. What did Wemby do in that last game there? Holy cow! 28 minutes, 28 points, 10 for 21 from the field, 4 for 9 from beyond the arc. Was perfect in his free throws. Usually big guys, even Wemby kind of struggles sometimes with those free throws. 10 rebounds, so a nice little double double there for Wemby. 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, and 3 turnovers. So not bad. And dude, Dylan Harper, man, 22 minutes, 18 points. That is solid right there. Yeah, that's good contributions from the bench right there, man. Dylan Harper, 22 minutes, but 18 points. Keldon Johnson, 18 minutes, 9 points. Really, really solid there. 3 rebounds. There you go. So what? Your local. Give me your predictions, man. Who's gonna win Game 7, and then who's gonna win the final? Let me know, man. Let me know. Let me know. And what do you think the final series is gonna be? What is it gonna be? 4-2, 3, 3-4. What like? Let me know. Yeah, man. Because I mean, the Knicks just ran through Cleveland. When's the last time the Knicks played? That was the 25th. So yeah, they're gonna get what probably like close to 10 days rest. The Knicks. That could be a good thing, or I mean, as hot as they were, man, maybe they get a little cold to start that series. Spurs win game 7, 112-76. Knicks in 5 for the final. Ooh, okay. Yeah, man, the Knicks have been looking really good, man. Really, really good. I mean, they've like even with the injuries that they've had, they just keep finding guys that are contributing at a pretty dang good rate, man. So right on, man. I'm gonna go with you, man. I trust you. I don't know a whole lot about basketball, man. I know a little bit, but not enough to make a real, true, educated guess. So I'm gonna trust you, my man. Knicks in 5. All right. see here. Actually, let me look up. Let me see here. Go Knicks. Go Knicks. Yeah, dude. What was the last time the Knicks were in the finals? Was 1999, right? It's been a little over a quarter of a century since the Knicks have made it to this point, man. So it's good, man. I know, like it seems like every every year for the last like 15, 20 years, man, it's just been a little bit of a letdown for the Knicks, man. And last year was the first time where you could tell that like the fan base was truly feeling that belief that they're like, oh, this is we got the players, man. We get the players, we get the coach, we get the system, and things are going our way. And obviously they came up just a little bit short there, but there was a lot to be optimistic. And hey, man, they took that next step, and now they're potential. They're not potentially, but they are 4 wins away from raising that Larry O'Brien trophy there. Can we talk about the Larry O'Brien trophy, man? One of the best trophies of all time. Like I love the Vince Lombardi trophy. It's awesome, but for the most part, it's simple. It's iconic, but it is simple. The Stanley Cup, probably one of the more unique ones. Just massive, just a freaking massive thing, and the traditions that go with it. Pouring in some beer or whatever it is and drinking out of it, always really cool. You get to take it, you know, all that stuff. That's awesome. But the Larry O'Brien Trophy, man, I don't know if it's the gold, like the gold. I don't know if it's paint or whatever it is, man. But there's just a look to it. The fact that the ball is like going into the basket, it's not just simply on top. It's kind of off center. It's unique, man. It's very very unique. It's got a good look. Dude, I gotta really turn my air on. Same, man. Yeah, it's gotten warm up here in Wisconsin. It's gotten real warm up here. I think the last up until yesterday, we had like 3 or 4 straight days of like 80 degree, 85-degree weather. And yeah, my let's just needless to say, I was not ready. My body was not ready for the heat, man. I was like, nah. But how? What's the temp? What's the temperature been, or the yeah? What's the temperature been where you're at, my man? Dang, a fight broke out on TV. Cool. Oh, oh. So, what's the fight? What's the fight? I gotta get my boxing gloves out, man. Come on. Who's fighting, man? Who's fighting? All right. All right, let's get to the last two stories here that I was going to talk about this week. So, there was a little bit of a quote that was asked of C.J. Stroud today. Just channel scrolling, then boom, hands. Just and then a smack. Yeah, man. Gotta be careful, man. You gotta be. Ooh. But C.J. Stroud was asked earlier what does he think about his a potential extension um, with the Houston Texans, and this is the quote here: contract extension enter in 2026, and Stroud says, "I think I've held up my bargain, or I think I've held my bargain up." I think he needed to flip those, but semantics. But Stroud is coming fairly confident. He's saying like, "Yeah, I deserve my money," which could say the case. I think, especially the last year to maybe year and a half, has kind of soured some fans on CJ Stroud. It seems like his play has declined almost every year after an incredible rookie season and even a pretty good sophomore year. It seems like it's been kind of going downward. And to end last season the way it did in that terrible playoff loss, where I mean, some of the worst quarterback play, some of the worst quarterback decisions we have seen in a while. At least I have. So I don't know. And C-Strom, what up? Bit busy at graduation. We'll chat later. All good, my man. All good. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for popping in. CJ, yeah, man. C-Strom in graduation, man. Heck yeah, man. Hopefully those kids can enjoy the night, man. It's a massive part of their early lives, man. It's incredible. Yeah, my one of my nieces and nephews is going to be graduating tomorrow from high school. So she's going to be the first one from that like group of that little generation there of in my family. So from that specific generation, I should say. So yeah, man, it's cool, man. It's these kids are getting old, man. I still remember when they were just running around, still in the car seats and everything like that. Now they're driving, they're graduating, they're doing a lot, man, doing a lot. But the good thing is, it seems like most of these kids have a good head on their shoulders, man. So, but yeah, shout out to all everybody in your family, man. If you got graduations going on this weekend or next weekend, congratulations to them, man. It's a huge accomplishment. It's not a small thing, and hopefully it's a memorable night. Hopefully it's a memorable experience for all of them. So. All right, but back to the man that we were talking about here, CJ Rancho Cucamonga High School graduate, Stroud. So yeah, so once again, he feels like he's held up his end of the bargain, and I was like, you know what? Let's look at the stats then. All right, and let's look at the stats, and I'm gonna actually bring up my screen here so you guys can look at it with us. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can actually see the numbers. Come on, there we go. Boom, perfect. So, I'm on Wikipedia. It's always a little. Wikipedia is underrated in terms of getting stats, man. It's very clean, get good grids. Not always the most up to date, but I feel like quarterbacks and some of the bigger name players always have their stats updated to basically up to the game that they have played. So this is what CJ has done through the first 3 years of his career. Will Anderson, the man that was drafted with him in that same draft, honestly, just basically a pick later, has already gotten paid. He's already been made one of the highest players in NFL history. And now CJ Stroud is trying to make that same case. We'll see. So, in his rookie season in 2023, played and started 15 games, went 9-6, got the Texans to the playoffs, but we'll get to that in just a second. But in the regular season, he was completed nearly 64% of his passes there, 319 out of 499, a little over 4,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, and just got over 100 yards in that passer rating department. Ran for 167, found the end zone 3 times on the ground, and was sacked 38 times. So, pretty solid. I think it's slightly above average in terms of the sack total. So, next season, started and played in all 17 games for the Houston Texans. Then they went 10-7, so able to improve on their record from the previous season. Was able to complete more passes, but also attempted more. The average, the percentage was basically the same, just a little bit of a dip there. So 63.2. Had less yardage, despite having more attempts and more completions. His yards per throw or attempt, I should say, went down from 8.2 to 7 yards. Seemed like his yardage in terms of per game also went down by quite a bit there, by looks like about 54 yards if I can count. Still 20 touchdowns, but that interception total more than doubled from 5 to 12. Passer rating went down to 87, which is, I believe, slightly below average in the NFL. Able to up his rushing totals to 233, did not find the end zone, and was sacked 52 times. So not a great offensive line, probably attributed to some of the numbers dipping just a little bit. And then last year dealt with some injuries, started and played in 14 games, went 9-5, similar to what he did his rookie year. But when it comes to the stats, a big, massive dip. So 273 completions, 423 in terms of attempts, but completion percentage actually went up, career high of 64.5. Only barely over 3,000 yards, 7.2 yards per attempt. His yards per game also took a slight dip, 2 less yards, 19 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. So the 19 touchdowns, obviously a career low, and the 8 interceptions, a lot better, kept the ball clean, but we'll get to the playoffs here. But yeah, on the ground, another 200 yards, 1 touchdown, and was able to bring the sack totals down to 23. Once again, did miss 3 games, but still, that's getting sacked only 23 times in 14 games. Pretty solid. David, I'm back and better than ever. David's back. Eric Bischoff, WWE. Oh, all right. All right. Well, the good news is, so the numbers have, like I said before, have dipped every single year with CJ. They've gone down, dealt with a few injuries, but for the most part, I feel like he's been playing at a slightly above average quarterback level despite the numbers going down. His sophomore year, he was sacked over 50 times, attributed to some of the dipping numbers there. And then last year, definitely was not as explosive as he could have been. I think a lot of I think he needed some wide receiver help. I think he didn't have an incredible running game to support him as well. But at the same time, he also didn't really elevate the guys that he had around him consistently. At least there was definitely some games where he played really well, but none of this indicates to me that he is a bad quarterback or a quarterback that is unworthy of a second contract, especially with the Texans. There isn't a better option right now, and I don't know if could potentially be a better option in the draft, at least where the Texans would probably be drafting. So, but the story is not the regular season; it has been postseason issues for C.J. Stroud. So, going back to his rookie season, he played in 2 games. That first game was one completion away or incompletion away from a perfect passer rating in his first career NFL start. But after that, it was a little bit of a struggle. I don't think he threw a single touchdown in the next game when they got bounced, so they finished with a 1-1 record. In the 2 playoff games, had a nearly 65% completion percentage that would actually be a career high, that 64.8. Averaged over 220 per game through the air, 3 touchdowns, no picks, a passer rating of nearly 110. Once again, that would have been a career high in the regular season for him. The next season, once again, won in the wild card, lost in the divisional round, 1-1. An improvement in terms of percentage, 67% in those 2 games, over 500 yards, averaged 8.6 yards per attempt, over 260 yards per game. But the biggest issue, just 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And also, if you look at the fumbles here on this right side, fumbled twice, did not lose any of them, but still, you want to. Something tells me that those fumble recoveries were not brought back for touchdowns or were recovered for touchdowns for the Texans. So probably a bad play. And then so far, 4 games in the playoffs. You're making the playoffs every single year so far. 1 good game, 1 bad. A little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde kind of situation. And then in 2025, a massive dip in production. Still was able to win a playoff game, but if you look at the numbers here, barely under 52%, less than 470 yards through the air, of an average of less than 6 yards per attempt. All of those are career lows in the 2 playoff games that he has played previously. And then this is it right here. 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, all of those being thrown in that final playoff game. And then look at this, 5 fumbles, 2 of them lost. So 7 turnovers, only 2 touchdowns for C.J. Stroud in this past postseason, man. That is a rough start, man. That is a rough start. And this has kind of been I feel like these last 3 games right here in 2024, the last game in the playoffs, and then the 2 playoff games this year, even the one that they won, he did not play well. He did not play well. Those are the biggest reasons why you're kind of seeing some fans are like wondering, can the Texans move on from C.J. Stroud? I think it would be a mistake. I think you can do what the Packers did with Jordan Love and maybe give him a 1-year extension. I think the only difference is obviously Stroud has been a starter for the first 3 seasons of his career, where Jordan didn't really have much of a case. He couldn't point to any stats and saying, hey, look at what I've done so far. Coming into his 4th season, Jordan had only played and started basically in like 2 or 3 games. Only started 1 game, had only played in about 2 or 3. Only significant snaps in those like 2 games there, and that was kind of it with CJ. I mean, 46 career starts, 52 if you add the 6 playoff games. So like, there's something that he can point to and say, hey, look at what we've done. We've made the playoff every single year I've been a starter. Has it been perfect? No, but I've been one of the better quarterbacks for the most part on average throughout my 3 seasons. And we have won a playoff game every single year as well. So yeah, there is a case. Obviously, going back to the quote that we saw with C.J. Stroud here, I think I've held up my bargain, or I think I've held my bargain up. I, as much as I don't think he's an incredible, or he's played incredible over the last season and a half, I think he has a case to be said, man. Like, look at what the Texans were before he got there. Like, they were a team that was struggling to get to the playoffs. They were a team that was struggling to be competitive or play competitive football into December. Since he's been there, since a lot of those guys have been there, it's been pretty good for the most part. It's been mostly positive. They have not had a losing season. They've made the playoffs every year, and for the most part, the quarterback play has been above average, sometimes approaching great. Hard to believe it's all on Stroud given the sacks taken, but also, yeah, 100%. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's been sacked 113 times over the last 3 seasons. So, yeah, like if you look at 46 starts, 113 sacks, that is, off the top of my head, that is nearly 2.5 sacks per game. And then during the playoffs, 6 games, 17 sacks. That number has gone up. That's nearly an average. One more sack, and that would be an average of 3 sacks per game in the playoffs. So it's tough, man. I'm not trying to, you know, we saw that game. We've seen what C.J. Stroud looked like in the playoffs in 2025. It was not pretty. It was not great. But we cannot say that they gave him a good or even great running game for most of the year. On top of that, most of his receivers were kind of dealing with injuries. Nico Collins was really the only guy that he could rely on a consistent basis. They've added some weapons, this season. Even during the draft, some of those rookies were not able to really take big strides yet. Hopefully, in year 2 they can. So, yeah, man, it's Stroud has been solid. He hasn't been spectacular, but I think he's been one of the better quarterbacks, and he's been a top half quarterback, and at times he has played like a borderline top 5 quarterback at times. So I think if he does get an extension, it's going to be if it is a 3-year, 4-year deal, I don't think it's going to be approaching the 60 million of Dak Prescott. I think it'll be closer to 50 to 56 million, somewhere around there, kind of like the Jordan Love, Tua Tagovailoa kind of area there. I don't think you can really make the argument of a 58, $59 million per average. So, yeah, but I agree with you, David. I agree. I think the offensive line needs to improve. I think the running game needs to improve, and you need to give him guys that are going to be available so he can throw to. Also, you gotta rework that tight end room, man. That tight end room was rough last year. So, yeah, I think it would be unwise for the Texans not to extend Stroud, but I think they could definitely structure that contract in a way that if it doesn't look like it's improving in a year or at least 2, they can kind of get out of it without owing a bunch of money. Still, probably good guaranteed money. Probably going to be somewhere around 60 to maybe 70 million. But yeah. So yeah. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting story. When I clicked on that one and kind of looked around the internet, it was a very polarizing kind of like take. Some fans are like, "This guy is not worth it. Cut him now. Trade him now," and some people are like, "Did you see what the Texans looked like the previous like three, four, five, 6 seasons before Stroud got there. It was below average. So yeah, I think Stroud is still one of the better quarterbacks. He's only 24 years old, doesn't turn 25 until October, man. So I think it's way, way too early to be giving up on this kid. Um, he's got all the tools to be a really good quarterback for a long time. You just got to give him probably some more help, and I think you're gonna start to see some of that stuff smooth over a little bit. Definitely needs to work on his decision making. That playoff game was rough. So all right. All right. There is one last topic I was going to talk about, but I kind of want to give you guys the floor for a little bit. What's been going on, man? Yeah, what have you guys been watching? What have you guys been playing? Or just been up to, man? Let me know. Yeah, it's been a busy week today. I got yesterday had a graduation. Tomorrow I have another graduation. Not me personally, obviously. I'm too old to be graduating anything at this point. Maybe graduating to depends in a couple years. I don't know. And then in a couple days after that, I'll have another graduation to go to. A lot of birthdays as well. So yeah, it's gonna be a mad dash this next like 2 weeks, and then after all of those are done, I'm probably gonna be in a day or two or three. I'm gonna be going to freaking Texas for the next 5 days. So I built a shed from donated lumber. Oh heck yeah! It's not finished. All right, it's all right. Ah, dang it! But it'll dry up, right? Yeah. Once it dries up, you'll be able to slap that roof on there and then the door. But dude, that's pretty good, man. Building a shed. I don't think I've ever built anything probably bigger than like a puzzle piece. Heck yeah, dude. Resourcefulness, man. I like it. And is like the shed for like your house, or is it just kind of like for was it for somebody else, or yeah? Let me know. Yeah, it's only 4x5 to store my wheelbarrow. Oh heck yeah! There you go. There you go, man. You gotta protect the wheelbarrow, man. You gotta protect it. David, I didn't know you were a gold miner, man. I didn't know that, dude. I know. What did the dwarves whistle in Snow White? I forgot. Did they whistle or did they sing? I don't know. Sorry. That joke landed. I landed right on my face on that joke. Yeah, I'm not up to date on my Disney lore, unfortunately. It was going to be made from deconstructed pallets and new fence pickets. Okay. Oh heck yeah! Hey man, dude, who's throwing away the two by fours, man? Nice, dude. Heck yeah. Repurposing it, man. Nice. So, all right. And then see here. So now it's made from 2x4s, fence pickets, and deconstruction pellets. At least the walls have something resembling structure. There we go. Gotta make sure, man. You know, so this is the three little pigs taught us, man. All right, can't make it out of hay, can't make it out of sticks. Right, you gotta have a good base. Gotta get a good base. Yeah, cause you guys, man, over there, man, you guys get some windy days. I know that for a fact. Let's see here. Yeah, I went over to see the family not too long ago, and the my nieces and nephews were able to, with the help of one of their neighbors, they were actually able to build a brand new porch for the house there. Like they did it themselves. Like the older kids were able to get some welding, luckily safely, with some help there with their neighbor. And yeah, they like 2x4s, planks, and everything, and they were literally able to build a brand new porch for the house there from scratch, basically. So that was pretty cool. Like it was incredible, man. I was so impressed. I was very, very proud of those kids, man. That was really cool. The floor is made from 11 long, 4-inch wide edging bricks. Woo! Let's go, man. Nice. It's actually how I feel like a lot of the, I don't want to say a lot, but a good amount of houses that I've seen in Mexico, brick floors basically, or like some type of like man-made stone, in a sense. It's incredible how, like, you would think, you're like, oh man, wouldn't that like feel bad on the joints? It's surprisingly not, and they last forever. It's able to takes a long time before you see some wear and tear on those, man. So yeah. Yeah, 11-inch long. Holy cow, man! That is some. Those are some long bricks. Those have to be heavy. I feel like that's like a two-person job to be able to hold on to like one end of that, to be able to lay it down. Sorry, just adjusting something here for a second. Boom. All right. All right. So the last topic I was gonna talk about here is some of the free agents that are still available in the NFL here. We got some surprisingly big names. Some of these guys are obviously getting older, so in 3, 4, 5 years ago, some of these names would never be available. But still does not mean they can't contribute here in a couple games. But careful, this web page is a little bright. I could not change the unfortunately to like a back. So yeah, there we go. There we go. I don't want you to be blinded. But so yes, we got some big names here. Free agents can be surprisingly expensive for the title. It's true. It's very, very true. Yeah, some of these guys are not going to be coming cheap. That's why I don't think a good chunk of them are going to be interested in going to Green Bay. Green Bay is notoriously cheap when it comes to getting free agents, especially after the draft. They don't really tend to overspend, which is not a bad thing in my opinion. Most of the time, they're not really worth paying more than 10 million a year. So at the very top there, we got Tyreek Hill, who is a little over 32 years old. Still has some speed, for sure. Still, I mean, even last year before the injury, he was still ripping down the field. But I think time and just the wear and tear of the NFL is starting to catch up with Tyreek just a little bit. I think his days as a true number one are gone. No offense to him. Hopefully, he proves me wrong. But I think in the right system, he could easily be a strong number two, a guy that could still be a threat. Even put him anywhere. He's fast enough to play on the outside. He may not have the size of an outside receiver, but definitely has the speed to be able to do it. He did it for the majority of his career, but I think nowadays his best time would probably be in the slot. Attack the seams, nice little post routes, and then maybe some underneath stuff to get some yak afterwards. Still has enough speed and agility to kind of be a threat in those short yardage situations. Stephon Diggs is available as well, also 32 years old, just a little bit older than Tyreek. And on top of that, as of earlier this month, Stephon Diggs, the criminal charges against him, or were they criminal? I think maybe. Those have he has been cleared of all of those charges that happened. I think at the beginning of May. So I think that might have been a big reason why the Patriots moved on from him, was they just didn't know at that time what was going to be, if he was going to be available, was he going to be suspended. But from the looks of it, he's been cleared. There's still probably going to be a civil suit, but that's a whole different other thing. No criminal charges, and on top of that, doesn't seem like the NFL is in any rush to place a suspension on Diggs at any point. So, still really had a really good season with the Patriots. Nice little bounce back season after kind of some middle of the road seasons with the Houston Texans. So Diggs could be a nice contributor. Wouldn't mind the Packers maybe kicking the tires on him, but I think the Packers are okay with where the receiving core is right now. Don't worry, I'm not going to go through every single one of these guys. I'm just kind of touching on some guys that I think are going to be probably on a roster sooner rather than later, or at the very least, I see them, if they do get signed, will be very key contributors. So I'm going to keep it to like the top 5 to 7 guys here. So Tyler Decker, it's with Tyler Decker, man, it's such a weird thing. Gonna be 33 in like I think in about 5 months or so, 4 or 5 months. The biggest thing with him is he's still a good player at his position. I don't think he could be a left tackle at this point. If he does, I would probably put him to the right, if not maybe kick him inside on maybe at guard at this point in his career. But I still, at the very worst, he could be your swing tackle, a guy that can kind of spot play, spot start for a team that needs some veteran help there at that position. But at 21 million is what they're kind of saying that his estimate is, market value is. I think that's a little too rich for my case. I would not be paying Tyler Decker that much. Marshawn Lattimore, that was one of the worst trades I've seen in a long time from Washington. Gave up a third, a fourth, and a fifth a couple seasons ago. He was already injured when they traded for him in 2024. And when he finally got on the field, I think Washington was hoping that he was. I think they were probably like, dang, he should have stayed hurt because this guy is not playing well. You see, Debo is probably at some point going to be on the roster. I think he was dealing with a lot of injuries last year, some wear and tear. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be commanding a bunch of money. Even last year, Washington gave him a decent paycheck, and it did not pay out. So Debo will be on the roster, but I think if he goes somewhere, it's going to be more of a solid wide receiver 3, maybe a 4, situational stuff, some end arounds, and who knows, he might be even playing some special teams so he can contribute, get on the field. Joey Bosa, they're kind of waiting on him to get healthy. Seems like he's getting closer and closer to being football ready, and it would not surprise me if he ends up joining, honestly, an NFC team. I feel like he's gonna want to go to like a team that's potentially contending. For sure, a team that needs some edge rush help. I know Green Bay has been kind of attached to him. I don't think he's gonna go to Green Bay. I don't think the Packers are going to be looking for a 31-year-old edge rusher with a injury history. So, trying to see here. Mekhi Becton, he's not too far removed from having probably his best season as a starter in the NFL with the Eagles. There, he played that one season. It was their starting guard for basically the entire season. They won a Super Bowl with him. He got a nice little paycheck from the Chargers, and it did not work out. I think with him, he needs to go to an offense that is run heavy, grind it out, similar to the Eagles. Who knows? He might even come back to the Eagles if the contract is right. Because the Eagles also struggled with their offensive line. They definitely took a step back in 2025, and maybe bringing Mekhi back, both of them can benefit from it. The Eagles can get a guy that worked in their system, and Becton can get kind of back to maybe going back to that form that he had in 2024. Let me see here. Joe Mixon has been in the news for the Packers. I know the Packers may need to replace Josh Jacobs. We'll see how that pans out, but I think the thing that the Packers are definitely not going to be doing is if their starting running back does get charged with battery charges, the last thing they're going to want to do is sign a guy that also has a history of having those similar charges. So, yeah, Joe Mixon was solid with the Texans. He wasn't great, but I don't think he's going to be with the Packers at all. So, but he could probably still be a contributor. I think he's more of a running back number 2, short yardage guy. Can still catch out of the backfield. Can be versatile in that way, but I don't think he can be a number 1 running back in the league anymore. I hope Taysom Hill finds a home. I like him. I like him too, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. He would be a guy that I would not mind the Packers taking because he actually started his NFL career with the Green Bay Packers. He was actually he actually started or played 2 or 3 preseason games for the Packers his rookie year. I think he scored 2 or 3 touchdowns in those preseason games. Let me double check here. Where are we? But but yeah, man, I agree with you. Taysom Hill seems like a good dude. He is going to be 36. He was really old when his rookie year. He's at a BYU. So they do that mission where basically they're gone for a year, almost two. So a lot of those BYU guys are usually a year or two, if not more, a couple of years older than most rookies. I think when Taysom was coming into the NFL, I think he was already 25, almost 26. But yeah, still a versatile guy, man. Like I think 2025 was the least amount I've seen him used, but still contributed very, very recently. I think what was it, like 3, 4 years ago? He still started a game for the Saints as a quarterback. So yeah, one of the more versatile players that has been in the NFL over the last decade, in my opinion. So hold on. Wikipedia correcting me. Did you mean Tyson Hill? No, I mean Taysom Hill. Come on. Yeah, so yeah, he entered the league as an undrafted free agent in 2017, played with the Packers in the preseason, and has been with the Saints ever since. Let me see here. Yeah, during his time with the Packers, he completed 14 of 20, threw for 2 touchdowns, and rushed for another. No turnovers, no fumbles, no interceptions. I was certain that the Packers were going to keep him. They decided to cut him. They tried to get him on the practice squad, but the Saints picked him up and never let him go up until this year. Let me see. Is there any names that are kind of popping off to me, man? Matt Milano, 31 years old. I feel like if you need an off the ball linebacker with some leadership that can still contribute consistently, Matt Milano is your guy. You do have to you're rolling the dice a little bit with his injury history, but I think he can still be a really good contributor for them, along with AJ Epinesa down here, um, still part of that group. Unfortunately, Zach Ertz, I think he can still be pretty good, but man, that was a nasty leg injury, dude. I don't want to relive that again. Najee Harris is a guy that I think the Packers could be interested in if the Josh Jacobs thing goes kind of sideways a little bit. Only 28 years old, but was looking pretty solid with the Chargers before he had that nasty injury. If he does go to the Packers or any team, they're gonna have to kind of wait a little bit. He's still recovering from that injury. Right, but yeah, I feel like those are kind of some of the bigger names. Jimmy Garoppolo might be retired. I don't know why he's on here. To be quite honest with you, I think Spot Track hasn't really updated their because Tre'Davious White, I'm pretty sure, also retired as well. But yeah, yeah, I'm not really seeing any other names here. I know Darren Waller had a couple good games. Like, was it in 2025 or 2024? 2025. I know he had like 2 or 3 games where he looked incredible and then just fell off a cliff and never really recovered. So yeah, oh yeah, I can definitely tell that they have not updated a lot of these. So anyway, yeah, so I kind of wanted to touch on some of the free agents there. There's some big names. I think Diggs is probably the biggest name right now in terms of the wide receiving crew. I think even above Tyreek Hill. I think of the corners that are possibly available. I didn't really touch on any of these guys. Like Trayvon Diggs didn't really do anything with the Packers after they picked him up. He might get a chance somewhere else. I don't think it'll be soon. I think he's a guy that 28, 29 years old may still have something, but I doubt anywhere he goes he's not going to be expected to be the number one, number two, number three guy. He's going to be more of a depth guy. L'Jarius Sneed is not too far removed from a Pro Bowl season, so he could be a guy that somebody kicks the tires on. And then Jonah Williams, nasty injury. Hopefully he can kind of recover from that. Hassan Reddick, ever since he had that holdout, man, it did not work out for him. Everywhere he's gone after kind of holding out for what was it, like half the season with the Eagles, man, it just was bad. It was really bad. But yeah, you got Mr. Danger Witch right here, Russell Wilson in the center. We'll see if he signs anywhere. But yeah. But yeah, man, those are just some of my thoughts on some of this stuff here. Nothing too crazy. All right, there we go. Yeah, and for your team, do you guys see any positions, any holes that you would like them to potentially fill with some free agents? Taysom Hill, man, he could go to the Chiefs, man. That would not be a bad pickup for Kansas City, especially with Mahomes still kind of recovering from that ACL. I always like to. I'm gonna probably do this next week, but anytime the season is about to get underway, I always like to see where some of the more active, some of the more senior players are kind of where are they at in terms of the all-time records. And just to give you a preview, man, I'm looking at touchdown leaders and quarterbacks, touchdown throws, and top five. Number one, Tom Brady. Drew Brees, number two, Peyton Manning, number three, Aaron Rodgers, active, number four, and then number five, Brett Favre. So obviously, four out of those five that I listed are retired. Three of them are in the Hall of Fame. Tom obviously will be eligible pretty soon. And then Rodgers, the only active player. So he is ahead of former teammate Brett Favre. Brett finished his career with 508 in terms of touchdown throws. Rodgers currently at 527, and Peyton Manning just ahead of him at 539. So, barring an injury to Aaron Rodgers, there's a good chance that he will pass Peyton Manning. He will need 13 touchdown throws to be able to surpass Peyton Manning on the all-time list. And with that, he would need another 31 after that to be able to pass Drew Brees. So likely not going to happen. Rodgers will likely finish as the um, third, third on the list on the all-time leaderboard here at the end of his career. So pretty good, especially for a guy that did not start for the first 3 seasons of his NFL career. If he did, probably have a pretty good chance at surpassing Breeze and maybe slightly threatening Tom at that position. But yeah, Tom at the very top, man, 649. That is 78 more touchdowns than Drew Brees at number 2. That is freaking crazy. David. Yeah, that'd be cool if Taysom joined KC. 100%, man. And dude, the way Andy Reid and the the Kansas City Chiefs love to get so tricky inside the 10. Taysom Hill would be a perfect, absolutely perfect player to be using inside basically in the deep red zone. It'd be incredible, man. Yeah, you would line him up at tight end. You could put him at running back. You can put him at quarterback. You could put him at wide receiver probably. He's done that in his time with the Saints. So yeah, man. I think if there's a team out there that could use him, if it's not the Broncos with Sean Payton, it could definitely be Kansas City. They have some of the more wild looks on offense, especially in the red zone. So yeah. Yeah, if I'm the Chiefs, man, I'm kicking the tires on Taysom Hill and be like, hey man, what's up? Wanna come in? Yeah, let's check it out. Who's also active right now? So after Brett, Philip Rivers is at number 26 there. Sorry, number 26. Jesus. Is number 6 with 425. And then Matthew Stafford right behind him with 423. So Matthew Stafford has a great chance to jump Philip Rivers here. Just needs 3 touchdowns. Could probably do that in week 1, to be quite honest with you. But after that, it is a massive, massive jump to get to Brett Favre. Yeah, Stafford would have to throw 86 more touchdowns to surpass Brett Favre. So probably not going to happen. Stafford at most has like 2 more seasons left. This one and maybe 2027. Maybe can push it to another third season, but yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be That'd be a tall task, man. He's already been kind of contemplating retirement over the last 2 seasons. So yeah, but after that, Russell Wilson, number 12, Kirk Cousins, number 15. So not a whole lot of guys after that. Joe Flacco still technically active, number 21. Pat Mahomes, just behind Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco with 272 touchdowns, and Patrick Mahomes with 267. So odds are Patrick Mahomes probably going to be able to surpass Joe Flacco um, this season at some point if Patrick can get back on the field relatively early. So yeah, that's something I'll probably be doing tomorrow. I'll try to have my own like little stat sheets that I make up, and yeah, so that way we can kind of keep those in the back of our heads as the season is going on. Some of these records might be falling. Some of these guys might be climbing the all-time records. I'll be doing it mostly for guys that are going to be in the top 10 or climbing into the top 10 or further into the top 10. After that, I'm not going to be like, well, yeah, this running back, he is now number 267 on the all-time list. I'm not going to be doing that. So, but yeah, man. Yeah, let me double check. I just want to make sure. Oh God. Oh my gosh. I completely. I got to touch on this before I leave. Holy cow. Hold up. Yeah. Yep. Hold on. Shout out to the guys who who are number 69 on the all-time list. Nice. Shout out to those guys. Yeah, I gotta hold up. I gotta bring up a good picture here. Sorry. And there's that. Oh man, I cannot believe I almost left without talking about that, man. Holy cow, that was hilarious. There we go. I mean, we have to talk about this because this was probably one of the funniest things I heard and read about this week. All right, there it is. Bam. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. We have to talk about the awkward, so freaking awkward interview that JJ McCarthy had with reporters, like, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago, I think? Yeah, it was, whew, wow. All right. So I don't know which interview was first. I don't know if they interviewed Kyler Murray first and then they did JJ or vice versa. Regardless, so both quarterbacks, both Minnesota quarterbacks who are competing to be the number one quarterback in Minnesota this year, JJ McCarthy and the newly acquired Kyler Murray. They were asked basically what it like what is your relationship with the other guy. Have they been asking, blah blah blah. They asked Kyler Murray, has he been asking question, how have you assessed JJ McCarthy? And Kyler, for the most part, kind of gave if you will, like coaches speak, kind of like non-threatening. It's just like, yeah, oh yeah, he asks questions, he's learning a lot, like it's great, blah blah blah. We're both competing, and like just kind of like, you know, just middle of the road, not trying to cause any drama. It's good, it's all good. I was like, all right, solid. Then they asked JJ McCarthy, is there any what is what is the what's the relationship with you and Kyler? How's it been? And this is the quote from JJ McCarthy. It's just like two guys in the classroom. He sits on one side and I sit on the other, and it's the coach's responsibility to teach us and coach us. And then they ask him, "Is there any awkwardness with Kyler?" And then there was one of the longest pauses I've ever seen, I've ever seen from a quarterback about a question like that. Like literally, it was like a full 3 or 4 seconds, and then he just continued to say, "This is what he said. I wouldn't say that there's any awkwardness. It's just the same feeling when you're in high school and there's another person on the other side of the room. That's just how it is." I'm like, Jesus, man. He could have just said, "Yeah, it's cool. It's a fun competition." But he just had to be like, "Yeah, he's on that side. I'm on this side. That's it." I was like, "Wow, man." So yeah, needless to say, if it wasn't awkward before, JJ for sure made it as awkward as hell. Just like literally saying he's on that side and I'm on this side, and it's the coach's responsibility to get us to work together, basically. Like there's like no like, yeah, it's fun competition, or yeah, I'm learning a lot, or hey, we're pushing each other, like nothing like that. It was just like, yeah, he's over there, I'm over here. That's it. I was like, Jesus, man. I was like, Anyway, I don't know if you guys saw that. Let me know what your thoughts are on that one. I don't like definitely look up the video. Um, it was so freaking awkward. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna work out for JJ. Man, he is. Yeah, he's definitely a weird dude, for sure. And then like just the two different answers, man. Like Kyler was like talking up JJ. It was like, yeah, hey, we're both gonna be competing, blah blah blah. Like I'm excited to be here. He's asking questions, and I'm like it's awesome, blah blah blah. And then JJ was like very cold, very like basically I don't like this. And it's just like okay. I mean, at least I guess he was honest. I guess. I briefly heard about it. That's pretty amusing. I hope they combine to have a solid single quarterback staff. I hope they have an NFL record, um, a pick six in every game. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man. Like who knows, man? Maybe JJ is like motivating himself, and he ends up winning the starting job. Like most people are projecting Kyler to be the starter week one. Like that's almost seems to be a given at this point. Um, but yeah, who knows, man? If JJ is able to internally motivate himself and makes some big leaps and bounds, and he's able to beat Kyler for the job, and then ends up having a great season, I think this interview is gonna look less weird, less awkward in the retrospect, and it's gonna be there's gonna be a positive spin on it. But if it doesn't work out again for JJ McCarthy, man, yeah, that's people are gonna point to that interview along with the what is it like his alter ego nine. Yeah, it's not gonna go well. So yeah, it's that it's like the old adage like that is if you're gonna be weird and if you're gonna be weird or be very like you know egotistical, you better back that up, man. You better be so damn good that it gets overlooked. Yeah, I definitely wanted to touch on that a little bit because that was when I saw that interview, man. I was like, "The heck is going on here, man?" All right, but yeah, all right, guys. I'm trying to think here. Any bit of news that I missed? Oh, David, watch McCarthy end up like Geno Smith ends up being a great cornerback over the places. No offense, no Geno Smith. You don't deserve the comparison. Fair, that's fair. Yeah, I feel like Geno has really turned it around. Like he's matured a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot since his time with the Jets. Um, yeah, man, like that's a dude to a lesser extent. I think Geno is very similar to the guy that ended up replacing him in in Seattle, Sam Darnold. Like obviously Sam Super Bowl winner, one of the better quarterbacks it seems like in the last 2 years. But Gino has really been able to turn around his career a little bit in terms of the optics of it. I think there's a lot of love and respect for him in the league, and I think there's been a growing um, appreciation for him by even by fans that he's not playing for, if you will. So yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a little bit of a comparison. I think JJ is like I said it before. I think I said it during what was it, his first career game that he started earlier this year against, what was it, Chicago? He beat in week one, and then they beat Detroit later on in the season. Like, there is flashes of what made him a top 15 pick in 2024. But there's just the lows have been very low, and they've lasted quite a bit. And that's the thing where it's like you gotta start shrinking those long gaps of bad play. You gotta shrink those massively. You can't have stretches like 3 4 game stretches where you're playing basically a month of football where you're playing terrible. Like, it's one thing if you're playing, you know, you play a bad quarter, fine. Shrink that to a bad drive or two. Shrink that to a drive. Shrink that to a bad couple plays. Like, but you can't be having week long stretches where you look like one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. And that's the thing. That's the thing with JJ. He'll have a great game, maybe have 6 great quarters, but then the next 2 or 3 games, it's awful, 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 awful football. So, yeah. Like, I'm not like, I don't want him to be incredible because obviously he's with the Vikings, but I am not. I don't necessarily root for people to be terrible, just because. Yeah, yeah. But yeah. So yeah, we'll see, man. I think this is gonna be a little bit of a make or break year for JJ, man. I know this is basically only his second season, technically, in a sense, because he missed his entire rookie season. But yeah, I think the Vikings brass are slowly losing patience, and on top of that, they're gonna have a new GM. And if we know anything about new GMs, they want their guy not only under center, um, but they also want their guy at the head coach position. So if the Vikings don't show strides, there could be a new head coach, new philosophy, and then now you got the GM and a head coach that did not pick JJ McCarthy. They're gonna want to bring their own guy in. And if you're not playing great football, man, you are easily gonna be replaced. You know another cornerback I like more every year. Ryan Fitzpatrick. I really enjoy his commentary when I have audio. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think he's not afraid to be critical of guys. To be quite honest with you, like you see a lot of guys that like they're very hesitant to criticize certain players, especially at their position. But Ryan is like he seems like he's very much like, yeah, this is not good. He needs to do this. This is something that I'm seeing that he needs to work on. He brings receipts, if you will. So yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. But he's also been very complimentary. Like, he's not always just negative, which is something that I like. I like criticism, but if you're always just gonna be finding the worst in a player or in a team, it can be kind of it can be tiresome, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, I feel like Ryan is like he doesn't sugarcoat things, but he's fair. I feel like most of the time. So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, he is one of the more one of the more um, how should I say, more comprehensive guys that are kind of like like whether it's Amazon, whether it's Monday Night or whatever, like those former players. I feel like he speaks less in platitudes and kind of like sayings, if you will, like sound bites, and I feel like he's definitely goes into the nitty gritty of of the compliments or the praise, and as well as the criticism. So yeah, the dude's isn't a jerk about things or like, bro, I'm the greatest thing since God said, "Let's there be light." Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yep, 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 yep. Fantastic beard too, man. Fantastic beard. Yeah. What was it during one of the TFS? They shaved him. Oh, that looked so painful, man. I was like, Jesus. But yeah, yeah, man. Ryan, like he seems like he's been able to make that transition from the field to the booth pretty seamlessly, or I guess not the booth, but to the sidelines, I guess. But yeah, yeah. To be quite honest with you, man, I feel like that Thursday night, you know, commentating crew, like you got Wit. Who else you got in there? You got Sherms on there. Tony Gonzalez, I think. Tony, I think, is the one that struggles the most sometimes. I feel like he's the one that talks the fewest or has the fewest takes, and I feel like he kind of bounces around a little bit. Even though I like Tony, but yeah, I think they have one of the strongest crews in terms of like those former players, commentators. So let me see here. Just making sure I'm not missing any other big news here. I almost missed the JJ McCarthy stuff here, but yeah, yeah, it was a little bit of a we're in the middle of the off season. You know, so some teams are not even doing OTAs quite yet, so we'll get there. I'm hoping the injuries slow down, especially for the Giants. Man, they've lost two guys for the season already with Achilles injuries in the last week. So hopefully players just stay healthy, man. It's the worst thing that can happen, man. Is guys going down for the year. Trying to think here. I don't know if this is an injury, but Marshawn Lloyd for the Packers, the running back that they drafted in the third round a couple years ago. He's dealt with injuries each of the last two seasons. Barely has played any snaps. Um, he has not been available to practice for the last couple days because it looks like there might be an injury uh, to him again. So yeah, it feels like the guy is just made out of glass. Let me see here. Richard Sherman has always annoyed me. I get he's checked his attitude lately, but I don't like his early receipts. Yeah. Yep. I'm trying to think here. Um, yeah, with Sherms, it's very weird. Like you can tell he was a guy that was struggling after he stopped playing. I feel like there was unfortunately some some bad moments, but he seems like he's gotten better. Seems like he's gotten a little bit of a stronger support system with him, which is good. We all make mistakes. Luckily, none of his mistakes have been significant or truly like heinous by any means. Obviously you saw that video from a couple of years ago. It looked bad, but yeah. But it seems like he's kind of gotten past that, and hopefully can kind of keep it going a little bit. Um, but yeah, I think Sherms is a guy that is um, I think he's finding his way in terms of I don't want to say journalism because I feel like it's not like when what these guys are doing is not journalism. It's commentary, if you will. And I think Sherms is kind of slowly getting there. I don't think he's to the point of like a Ryan Fitzpatrick or some of the guys that have been doing it for a little bit longer than he has. But I feel like there's good intentions with Sherms. I feel like I think as a player, especially early on, he was kind of like um, bombastic and was trying to make headlines. And I think he's slowly waned himself off of that. I think he realizes that he doesn't have to do that as a commentator. I don't think he. I think it's more of just like just look at what you're seeing, talk about it. Doesn't have to be sensationalized. And I think he's kind of slowly working his way out of that kind of stuff. But Captain, what's going on? LOL, Bills on top. How dare you, sir? We will see at Lambeau Field. We will see. All right. I think that is. I think that's gonna be it for tonight, guys. Yeah. Don't worry, I'm not gonna leave right now. I want to make sure that we're still able to talk. But yeah, when it comes to NFL news, that's it. That's all I got for you guys for today. But let's yeah, let me see. I'm trying to think here. Who's yeah, like the guys on Fox OT are always like those guys are like staples, man. I grew up with a lot of those guys, Terry Bradshaw, um, yeah, like those guys, and I know some of them are obviously have moved on or unfortunately passed away. But yeah, I'm hoping as some of the older guys come in and some of the newer guys are kind of slowly being brought in. I hope some of those newer guys are able to kind of keep up that tradition, that just like that Sunday feel, if you will. Like when I hear Terry Bradshaw talk about football, it just reminds me of my middle school, high school days of watching football on Sunday, man. So hopefully they keep going. I remember when the Bills were on top and being of being back to back to back to back Super Bowl losers. Ooh, shots fired! Shots fired! How about if Allen snacks out the Dolphins? Week 11, you have to put Allen's jersey on your wall. Uh, well, one, I'm not a Dolphins fan, so I mean, I would not. I don't know. I don't think I'd be emotionally invested in that game for that to happen. And also, I don't own a Allen's jersey. If you want to send me one, I'd be willing to do that if they beat the Packers in Lambeau Field. Let me know. Terry Bradshaw needs to retire. No ill will. He just doesn't have it. No, no, for sure, 100%. And I think even in the last 2 years, because he used to be the guy that like did the like the breakdowns. Like at halftime, he would be like the guy that was like, "All right, we got 4th and 1 here in the first quarter, 8 minutes left." Blah blah blah. Like he would be that guy. But I think over the last 2 seasons, he has no longer done that. I think it's just like I think they're slowly kind of moving a lot of those responsibilities to some of the younger guys. And I think Terry has been just more of like like the old how do I say this? The old kind of like when Yoda when Luke first went to meet Yoda in in the Empire Strikes Back, like those first like 5 minutes where Yoda's like just acting like a wacky old man. I feel like that's what Terry Bradshaw is at this point. Um, yeah, and like I said, I love Terry Bradshaw. Like he reminds me of football on Sundays. But yeah, I think we're closing in on the last season or two of Terry Bradshaw. New Highmark Stadium sponsor is the Toyota car. Oh, Toyotathon. Oh, I mean, that's a pure Jordan Love endorsement if I've ever seen one, man. Toyota Thon. Sorry, I was just looking at where Terry Bradshaw is on the all-time list. So Terry Bradshaw is tied with Matt Hasselbeck for 45th on the all-time touchdown record. They threw 212 in their careers. Yeah, Bradshaw played from 1970 till 1983, man. Yeah. You see here, LOL, you have the Bills ice blue on behind you. I mean, hey man, you gotta give the Bills a little bit of love, man. Like I said, I'm if it's not the Packers, it would be kind of cool to see the Bills win a Super Bowl. That'd be pretty cool. I'm not against the Bills, but you know, during that Lambeau Field game there, man, I'm not gonna be rooting for the Bills, man. Be rooting for Papa Jordan Love, man. Yeah, that was the other bit of news. Jordan Love, man, and his wife, they announced the birth of their kid, man. Apparently, the birth happened like a month ago. But yeah, man, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Congratulations to them, man. First kid, always a very wild time when you have your first kid. Changes everything. But they're going back to their darker jerseys. Oh, okay. They're doing the darker jerseys the entire season, like at home or on the road or what? Let's see. Your local Deshaun sprayed Miz with a fire extinguisher. Oh, Dan House. Sorry, I said Deshaun. Danhausen. Who is that? Oh, that guy. Yeah. Okay. I've seen this guy everywhere for like the last like couple weeks. It feels like Danhausen sprays the Miz with a fire extinguisher. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, they're starting. WWE's getting a little wacky, huh? That is absolutely hilarious. So when you Google Danhausen, he comes up as he is 6'7", 300 pounds. Which, looking at him, you know for a fact that's not true. But that's hilarious. But in it says right here, he's billed as 6'7", 300 pounds. However, in reality, he's he's physically unimposing and delightfully bizarre wrestler is closer to 5'10", 175. That's freaking funny. That's funny. I gotta give it to him. That's a funny bit. That's a funny bit. Let me see. Captain Road, I think. Okay, sweet. So they'll be wearing their dark blues on the road. Nice. Let me see here. Captain OTA Notebook. Head coach Joe Brady excited about where the team is at. Plus receiver Keon Coleman shares focused approach. See head coach impressed. There we go. Yeah, man. I know there's been talks of Keon being traded. I don't think they're going to trade him. One, they would not get anywhere near the value that they invested in him. He was the first pick in the second round a couple years ago. And nobody's going to be giving up a second round or a third or probably even a fourth for Keon Coleman at this point. So you, in my opinion, especially he's still on a rookie contract, which is still relatively cheap. Um, I think you roll with him this year if he makes improvements, like some, not only makes massive improvements off the field, but can be a key contributor to you in on the field. Anywhere between 6 to 900 yards. Obviously, if he goes over 1,000, that's awesome. But if you can get at least 6 to 900 yards out of him, maybe 5, 7 touchdowns, I think you kind of roll from there and see if you can, go with the 4 years. And if you think you want to resign him, great. If not, let him walk and get a compensation for if he signs somewhere. You know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm glad he seems to be focused. I'm glad he seems to be kind of learning from those mistakes that he had early in his career. And sometimes you need to be humbled, man. Like when you're as an insane athlete as some of these guys are, when you're the top dog on your team, probably through high school into college, you it's I think the quote from Aaron Rodgers when he was and after he was kind of looking back at his slide in the draft, he's like, maybe, I was a kid that was like thinking that he was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and maybe I just needed a little bit of a humble pie. So Keon was selected in the second round as the 33rd overall pick in 2024, draft by the Buffalo Bills. Google said this. Yep. There you go. Yeah, first pick in the second round. Um, yeah. So yeah, hopefully I'm rooting for the kid, man. Like it's easy to try to throw away people after they make mistakes, especially after making some of the big like the mistakes that he made. But if you can learn and get better as a human being, who's not going to root for somebody getting better, somebody learning from the mistakes, somebody checking their ego and being aware of that, somebody that realizes the position that they are in and the impact that they can make not only for themselves and the people that they care about, but hopefully the people around the community, man. So a Ron could use more humble pie, 100%. Yep. I think he only took a slice. And it only lasted for a couple of years. I think he needs to re-up on the humble pie a little bit, just a little bit. That was a good one, like that. I think every 5 years it feels like you know, Aaron might need a little bit of a dose of a humble pie. A humble an ego vaccine, if you will. Too much? Josh Jacobs released from custody as the district attorney requests further investigation. Lawyers are expressed confidence that he won't be charged. All right. I mean, I hope if I have a lawyer, they'd be confident. To quote Top Gun, son, your ego is writing checks your body can't cash. Woo! Let's go. Let's go, baby. I got your back, Goose. Captain Luke Altmaier should be the Lions' backup as Teddy Bridgewater didn't do good when Tua got hurt. Was Teddy the backup? Dude, Teddy Bridgewater has been around the league everywhere, man. Um, so Teddy was the backup in Miami, but that was all the way back in 2022. So that was a while ago. Yeah, yeah, Luke Altmaier. Where is he from? So played at Ole Miss, but then finished off his career in Illinois for the last 3 years there. Was undrafted this past offseason. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he played pretty well his last 2 years in Illinois. Nearly 6,000 yards, passing yards, I should say. 44 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, ran for over 450 yards, and 9 touchdowns on the ground as well. So, yeah, pretty good. Is Bridgewater the one who was buying lunches for high school football players? Yes. Yeah, he was. I think he was buying them lunches and getting them Uber rides home. The ice blue gear remains an active part of the team's uniform. They will stay along their primary sets. And okay, right, nice. But yeah, Teddy, he was the one that was getting those kids Uber rides home and some food. Yeah, I mean, when he was with Miami Northwestern, that was the high school he was at. Not only is that the high school that he coached, but that was also the high school that he came from. He won a state championship with them. He led them to a 2024 state championship. Take care of the kids. On field success. Terrible. Got to get him out of here. Yeah, it says in July of 2025, Bridgewater was suspended from his position as head coach at Miami Northwestern for providing impermissible benefits to his players. These benefits included Uber rides, meals, and recovery services for the team, all being funded by Bridgewater himself. In February of 2026, the Florida State Senate passed the Teddy Bridgewater Act, which would allow high school head coaches to spend up to $15,000 of their own money per year on their team. Yeah, Bridgewater won more respect when I heard about that stuff. Yeah, it's like, like when it. So, if you know anything about and I remember when this story was coming out, Miami Northwestern. This is not a school that is full of rich people with 6 figure, 7 figure, parents that are making this money. Miami Northwestern is unfortunately is one of the few high schools in that area that is like most in that area are struggling financially. So it's not like you can just you know plan an event and get some booster money for the there's it's a poor school, man, and he's trying to do his part to give back to the school that he went to high school with, try to give these kids something that he was never able to get because he's one of the few guys to be able to be successful at playing football that is able to come back. Yeah, but it looks like he changed something, man. I don't know if he was part of this act or if it was done on its own, but yeah, man. As of February of this year, the Teddy Bridgewater Act now allows head coaches to spend up to $15,000 of their own money on their team. So pretty cool. Holy cow! Whoa. Breaking news. Please stand by. Okay, on their jerseys to celebrate their first year. Mark Sunday, they will set 6 a.m. on the brand new nickel color. Okay, nice, nice. That's away, not home, David. That's away, not home. Okay, right on. Yeah, man, you gotta celebrate the new stadium somehow. I like that. Pretty good. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting how that ends up looking like for some of these high schools. That is potentially going to be something, especially in Florida, like Florida, Texas, like some of these big uh, high school football states. Um, they're going to be probably looking at something like this and how that works in Florida, because you could be potentially using this as a recruitment tool in high school, which to be fair, they already kind of do. Anybody that doesn't admit that high school does actually recruit football players would be lying to you, especially some of these bigger some of these states that have like massive, massive um, high school football programs. They absolutely do. So, a circular crest with a rendering of the new stadium in the inaugural season of 2026 for the team's first home game. Nice. That'd be a pretty cool jersey to keep, man, especially for some of the players. Pretty cool. Right on. Um, yeah. So his lone season as a head coach there, he finished with a 12 and 2 all time record, and they ended up winning the state championship, the FHSAA Class 3A championship. So, yeah, man. Congratulations to Teddy, man, giving back to his high school, man. All right. Let me see here. So yeah, so sorry, I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to like stuff like this. So I kind of wanted to say the details. So the law authorizes coaches to cover necessary expenses such as food, transportation, and recovery services. To use personal funds, coaches must obtain consent from the student's parents and formally report all spending to the athletic association. The money is intended solely to support player welfare. It cannot be used for the purpose of recruiting student athletes. Well, true, but it doesn't mean that they won't be looking into that, obviously. But yeah. Signed a 3-year contract. The Alfred. Yep. 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 100%, my man. Yeah, we covered these during free agency. Yep. 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 Yeah, they did a good job, man. During the draft, during the free agency, they filled up a lot of their holes, man. The Bills were able to kind of work on the top, the middle, and the bottom of their roster, kind of restructured quite a bit of it. So, yeah. But all right, guys. I think that's gonna be it for me today. I gotta be up relatively early tomorrow. I got my graduation to go to. A little bit of a pre-graduation party that's gonna be sometime around lunchtime, and then the graduation. So I got to get kind of prepped for that. So thank you so much, man. Thank you guys for showing up these last two streams this week. I know it's been busy, especially with like the school year kind of wrapping up for some people. So I appreciate you spending some time with me on Friday and Wednesday. And we're gonna be doing another one on Friday. I'm gonna try really try to get one on Wednesday at the very least. So I'll keep you posted on that one. But yeah, we're gonna keep it rolling. Actually, let me double check. Hold on. What is? Because I will not be available on the third. So let me double check actually while I'm here. Oh, actually no. So no, we're not gonna be doing it on Wednesday then. Sorry. If we do another one next week, it'll either be a Monday or a Tuesday, but I will keep you guys posted. But regardless, you will see me on Friday for sure. And then after that, I will be gone starting the 10th, basically, all the way through next week, Tuesday. So I will be gone for a little bit there. I'll basically be gone for about 6 or 7 days. So yeah, yeah. All right. Catch you guys next week, man. Thank you so much, man. A shout out to David for popping in here, man. Hopefully the family's doing well. Hopefully the pupper's doing well. Glad you were here, my man. We missed you on Wednesday, man. We missed you. Let me see here. Shout out to your local trash can. Shout out to Seastrom. I know you're busy today, my man. Congratulations to your students. I hope their graduation is going well. And shout out to Captain Mickey Mouse, man. Always supporting his bills. I appreciate you, man. I love your passion. Thank you for being here, guys. Catch you guys next week. Once again, my name is Dave, and I'm not a coach. Thank you. Have a good one.